Oh, Vered, how are you? Christine, Matt, Sophie, Alexandra, so good to see you. This is Cindy's here. This is not Pierre, by the way, but
Yes, Pierre Matisse.
Pierre Matisse. So we're waiting for Pierre to join us while we get a couple folks following. So if you guys need or have any questions while we wait, just let me know. Leslie, good to see you. Can you guys hear me? Okay. We are making sure that we are connected. We're in a different spot than usual. Noeletta, how are you? Eileen. Kim K, how are you? We True Noir, how are you? Pierre, we paused due to poor connection, so maybe we'll follow Pierre upstairs.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Pop. Ah.
Oh, Ruth, how are you? Yes, we're headed upstairs because our connection is too poor. This is the stairway at Savoir-Faire. All right, it's a lot of stairs. Okay, are we back? We're having to change locations due to connection. Okay.
Oh, those are all my paintings.
We didn't clean up after last time. Apologies. All right.
All right.
All right. Can everybody hear us? Are we here?
That was my painting last week. Chinese orange. Okay. Ready?
All right.
Ah. So what do you say? Ready to go?
Ready to go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Bonjour! This is Pierre at Pierre's Adventure at Savoir-Faire, and here we are in Novato, California. What's happening in California this week? I'll tell you a little story. 2 days ago, I woke up, without going into the details, but I wake up very early and work a little bit, and then my routine is I go out on a hike to watch sunrise. And 2 days ago, I couldn't believe it. See, the sun was not rising. So I said, my phone is broken, the clock is stopped. It was very weird. So then I said, okay, I go outside, and then all of a sudden, I saw it was opaque, bright orange, the entire sky. Still no sign of the sun. I honestly, I didn't freak out, but I didn't understand what was going on. It was like an eclipse. It was, and then so I went for my hike anyways. I went up, didn't change. So, and it stayed like that all day. So anyway, you know now, you've seen on the news. So here in the West Coast, we've been pretty challenged with all those fires, and it was the ashes, the mix of the ashes, the fog, the smog, the smoke, whatever, it turns out to be opaque orange. Incredible, impossible. I'm gonna post more of that. So anyway, let's go back. My little routine. You have a question, Mr. Andrew?
Do I hear your phone?
Do you need my phone? No, I don't know where my phone is.
Okay.
Oh yes, my phone speaks to me.
Somebody is talking to Pierre in his pocket.
Okay. All right. So, 27 weeks, for the people. So again, thank you for all being here. I don't see all the names today. I didn't have any phones, so I don't know who's there, but I heard a few names. So thank you for coming. I heard Ruthie, I heard Vered, I heard different very familiar name. Valerie, I think. So anyway, thank you again for to be here. It's very special.
Our good friend John Wentz just joined us.
John
and,
Wentz from Paris?
Yes, and Maureen, what is John doing awake?
Hey, John, it's past 11. And anyway, we were trying, maybe one of these days we'd like to do a live with you from Paris. So that would be great. So anyway, thank you all. I just have to repeat for you to remind all of us, 27 weeks, 190 days. Soon we're going to reach the 200 days since shelter in place, since I'm doing these lives. So thank you. It's all good. We have so much good feedback from all of you. Please share those lives, because I need many people say, oh, I wish I knew, I wish I did. It's great. It's like coming to you to party, and we meet all the people we know. So please, it's a very special thing for all of us. So anyway, today we have a very special guest, as you know, Yoshino, one that we've met a few years ago, and we really love Yoshino. He's a very special character, person, but also what he's been doing. So we've been working together, and so without waiting any longer, why don't we have Yoshino to come in?
He's here.
Hey, already? I don't see you.
I'm here. How's it going?
So Yoshino, who usually, very good, thank you. So Yoshino, you live in Los Angeles, and I saw your beautiful studio and place. But now you're in Northern California to come and visit. We are very close. We could have almost done it here. You're visiting your mom. It's very nice in San Jose.
Yeah.
Welcome to NorCal. Wow.
Thanks.
And I'm sorry that no more orange sky today.
Well, we didn't get any of that orange sky in the South Bay, but I can only see it through images and drone shots and videos of that sort over in like the Bay Area. Was it really bad over in San Francisco?
Okay, yeah. So anyway, Yoshino, thank you very much for joining. I know we tried to get you another time, and there was some glitch in the technology, which happens. You know, there's so many people watching so many things, sometimes the internet. Like today, I wanted to be in a different place, and the connection started to be iffy, so we decided to come back. So anyway, Yoshino, let me see. You know, it's like everybody knows, it's improv, so I don't have a script or what question I'm going to ask you, but let's start with that. Let's start. Can you tell us a little bit about you, and where did you grow up, and how did you come up to do what you do today? What was the journey to be now
Sure.
to have this amazing thing? And then we'll talk more specifically about your different companies. But can you give us a quick little overview about how you got
Sure.
to be so involved in the arts?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Well, I mean, I think I've always been a pretty creative person my whole life. Ever since I was a kid, I was always following certain creative interests, whether that be through music or skateboarding or through just kind of like intuitively thinking, having intuitive processes, kind of built into my daily life. But my direct entry point into the arts, I mean, I was going to business school actually in college, and I moved to Southern California to go to college from the Bay Area, from San Jose. And one day, I was just talking to one of my roommates, and I was like, I think I'm going to pick up a camera. And then from there, I didn't really, because I was in business school, so I didn't really realize like the artistic overlaps of how that sort of journey would unfold, So, but as a kid, I was always into films. I remember watching like a Stanley Kubrick film, Eyes Wide Shut, when I was like 11, which was a kind of a visceral experience for like an 11-year-old. And then, as most like Stanley Kubrick films are. But I think like, yeah, I don't know. I think all of those sort of intuitive experiences, being an only child and being able to follow my interests, I was very lucky to have parents that were very supportive of just my thoughts and what sort of like interests I had.
You
And
were saying that because you're with your mom.
no, she can't hear me right now. But no, I say that a lot even on the podcast. I think there's a big power in, having uh having parents and people around you that support you, in that way, whether it's like ideologically or what have you, but people that really support the things that you do and that you're interested in and not people that like stifle you. And I think that's at any sort of juncture in life, whether that's like supportive friends or people that are mentors to you, people that you respect and are teaching you. So I think it's really important to understand who you surround yourself with, even
Yeah,
you know
yeah, that's true.
at any
And
juncture.
talking about that, if
Yeah,
you don't mind, I jump in because we have so many stories, including in this live, some of the previous guests, where they
yeah,
almost never had an art career or almost dropped out because of a lack of support of either their parents or their uncle or something or the teachers. So yes,
yeah,
it is very helpful when your parents or entourage, are supporting. And it's true. So many times people say, you don't have any talent. Art doesn't bring any money. You better get a real job. Now that's very important. But so now, so thank you, Yoshino's mother and
I
parents,
agree.
and because so tell
Yeah,
us what was the time when you did a business school in LA and you were interested in the arts. So what happened that you decided to go in that business? What was the we say in
yeah,
déclic? What was the made you stop? And then with that, can you tell us better than me because you have a few different companies, they all in overlap, but can you tell us how you got to do it and tell us a little bit about the couple different companies that you run, that you are partner and all that.
sure, sure, yeah. I mean, that's kind of like a long, like philosophical topic, I think. I think a lot of it, going back to the just idea of intuition, following your interests and being able to set up mental structures and monetary structures in order for you to pursue the things that you want to do in a comfortable way. It goes back to like understanding like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where, if you are constantly just trying to survive, then you won't be able to reach that point of self-actualization because you're just constantly trying to figure out how to survive, right? So I think like basically what I'm trying to say is like what I've realized is being able to really be honest with yourself about the way that you want your life to be structured, because I feel like we live one life. And, whether you believe in, reincarnation or something like that, that's another topic. But I feel like you should live the life that you really want to live, whatever that may be. You could be anything. You can be an artist, you can be, but whatever makes you feel the most whole as a person. So with that being said, like once I understood that for myself, then everything else kind of fell into place. And the more that I tune into that and be honest with that, the more that I realize, okay, these are the things that make me feel the most complete. And so something about the arts, I don't know what it is, but it drew me in. I think it's the philosophy and the realization of self. There's a lot of things that you can learn from films and books, and those are all related to the arts and through painting and through all of those things. And I think that the amalgamation of all those things is super interesting, and it's a never-ending journey. And I think like we've set up a lot of structures in our society where people are searching for these rewards, and the rewards almost overtake the journey. And I think the journey is the most important, and I think that's also why people like that book by Paulo Coelho, for instance, and the hero's journey, like Joseph Campbell. You can sprinkle that in there, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, no, it does. No, no, it does, and I like to add to it. I like the
Yeah.
concept of to be the most complete, that philosophy. And I know a lot of people want to be artists, dream, vision, but they think it's either they don't have the talent, either they're going to starve, either it's not correct, either they get pressure. And yet it is important to fulfill your desire. And through art creation, there is work, there is job, there is things. So it's a mindset. So, and the journey, I believe a lot into that. Like, and that's what I tell a lot of my friends and artists when I'm in their studio. Of course, for the professional artist, the finished painting is very important because that's their livelihood. So you have to have a finished painting. But with that, the journey to painting, I say painting could be many different art forms. Seriously, painting because it's easy to imagine, but it could be many other genres or medium. It's just you have to take pleasure, and that's what I'm trying to hit. When you use the, I'm sorry, it's so self-serving, but I believe it deeply.
Mm.
When you use good material, you just enjoy, you paint, you had people, watercolorists, you put watercolor on a paper and you see the paper, the water moving and all that. It's live and you enjoy it, the pleasure of a nice brush that feels good, that
I agree.
extension
Yeah.
of your arm. All of this is like cooking. Cook with beautiful, juicy fruits and vegetable and things, just making the cooking. So I agree of that, actually the process of making the painting, but also the journey is about thinking about it, showing it, sharing it, get people excited, get the people reaction to what you do. So yes, I think the journey is very important, and too many people, the society today, just want the result, and people sometimes feel the journey, they don't count the journey, they just want the destination. But I agree with you 100%. So you started answering the question, but I come back. So tell us what happened. Tell us about your different, between No-Wave, Academy, Artist Decoded. What started
Yeah.
first, and how did you actually start it? Because for people who don't know Yoshino yet, you're starting to learn. I'll do a quick little thing, and then you can go back. It's incredible.
Sure.
Yoshino and with his partner, and they can talk about that, they reach out to some of the best artists, teacher in the country, and created a lot of things to share. So tell us a bit how you started and what's your philosophy on that, and your because it's fantastic. I would like everybody, today we're not showing, we're not doing demo, but I'd like for you to be able to express how exciting it is what you do, to invite people to have access to what you promote or what you produce.
Sure. Yeah. So you mean like where it started? Where it started
Just
and the
quickly,
journey?
how it started, just what's the declic, what made it start, and then more like, and now, what you do, where you're going, and what your contribution to the art world.
I see. Yeah. Well, I mean, where it started, I think, going back to the whole college thing, I think, yeah, I mean, it might sound overly romantic, but I feel like the arts kind of found me. I didn't really find and I found myself in the arts, through the arts, through books, through all those things. And, I think what we realize is we can use painting as a metaphor for just life, right?
Yeah, of course.
So let's use that, okay? So you have your materials, you have your paintbrush, and then let's just say you have one paintbrush, and then you have like 3 colors, right? And you only know like a certain amount of things to do with that. But what we have to realize, and this goes to anything, film, it goes for anything, any creative practice, is that these things are built over time. Paint overlaying over other paints and everything, like those impressions, they all happen over time. So whether you start off as being like a very beginner level or more advanced or whatever. That's part of the journey is understanding that it's each stroke and each experience that overlays over time that creates the foundation for who you are as a person. And I look at that the same way with, the artist collective, like collaboration. I tell people a lot that, if you're on an island and you're there by yourself, there's only so much that you can do. But let's say I bring a carpenter on the island. Let's say I bring, someone that knows how to like treat water on the island. And then we can all collectively together create this experience that is, first of all, socially more enriching, but also uh, in a survival way. I mean, we can help rely on other people. And evolutionarily speaking, that's how, we learn to craft tools and those sort of things. So I think like what we have to understand is this sort of self-critical process that happens outside of arts and within arts. Those things can be broken down into smaller equations. Each thing can be broken down into a smaller equation that you can figure out. And then as you process more equations over time, you will learn how to process faster, be more advanced, and all of those things. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe I don't know if I'm getting like overly romantic and
No.
philosophical
Romantic
thing.
is good. I'm French, and I overheard that the French are known to be romantic. So you can be as romantic as
Okay,
you
we'll be
want.
super romantic then. Let's do it.
But I think maybe for the group, I don't know the reaction. I don't see, but I think maybe you want to be a little more concrete now. I understand clearly the philosophy, and
Oh,
then
okay. So right. We'll go back to the concrete. So we're talking philosophy and macro perspective. Let's bring it back to the micro, less abstract thing. Yeah,
and don't worry, we'll have a lot of those discussions together over and over. And just for the sake of
totally.
life, I think people get it. If people have questions, please ask. But this is very profound what Yoshino just said. So just what you said on its own, it'll take a while for people to sink in, even for me, because it's very profound what you said. But how do you now go back practically? How do you deliver that today then with
Sure.
accomplishment?
Yeah, I mean, to break that down, so, we're talking about all these things that build up over time that, you break it down to experience. So it's like in college, I was, doing photography, and then I was a professional photographer. I shot for like all kinds of celebrities and magazines and like, like Elle and Harper's and like all of these magazines that at that sort of level, that commercial level, people want to achieve, right? And I was able to achieve some level of success within that. And so, but I realized that it wasn't really making me happy. And you think like, okay, these are all the things that you want. Why isn't that making you happy? Because I was trying to essentially get success in a way that someone else told me to get success. And then so I started the podcast in 2015, and I was like, okay, well, I want to know what other artists are doing to continue to do what they do, because there's a lot of uncertainty in the art. You don't know exactly where you're going to get your next paycheck and all of those things, right? So with that being said, I was like, okay, then why do people stay? Why do people stay being an artist? And then so I interviewed a lot of my friends and my peers that are artists, and I thought painters would be interesting because painters seemingly create something out of materials and just almost out of thin air almost. As opposed to a photographer like me, myself, I need a subject, or I need to have something that is tangible, that's already existing. Not that paint and brushes aren't already existing, but it's a different type of process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so I started the podcast, and I was a pretty mediocre interviewer, I thought at the time, but you know, I learned, and then uh, I met my business partner Justin Dosher Hopkins on the podcast, and him and I are kind of like kindred spirits in a way, very different. But what I learned is that we fulfill each other in ways that, like, he thinks in a certain way and I think in a certain way, right? So I feel like to have good collaborations, first of all, there's respect, right? And there's also like those what's it called?
Okay.
Anyways, What's up?
No, no, I was saying that connection, that chemistry, that
Chemistry.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. Chemistry. So then 2017, we created No Wave. And No Wave, we did a lot of art galleries and, sort of like we curate our own shows and it's an art collective. We work with all kinds of artists. And then we started No Wave Academy in 2018, which it brings that experience of doing a workshop in person online. And yeah, so I think all of these are kind of like, in the macro perspective, I think of things like I dedicate myself to the arts. These are just kind of funnels for me to do those things.
All right. So
Yeah.
for the video, so you talked about three things. So first of all, the podcast. You started with the podcast. What's the name of your podcast company?
Artist Decoded.
Artist Decoded. So make sure people, Artist Decoded, check this out. I've heard of some of the quite very, very interesting podcasts. And then No Wave and No Wave Academy. Can you explain the name No Wave? Because it sounds new wave, Soho, no.
Sure.
Can you, why no Wave?
Well, no, it's okay. First of all, I can't take credit for this name. Justin came up with this name, so I just need to let that be known.
Okay.
But no, NOH is, so Justin and I are both Japanese American. And so it plays into the ancestry of no dance theater. And then so there's kind of a correlation there. No Wave is essentially the antithesis of the new wave art movement. And so it's kind of, we were basing it off of this Claude Chabrol quote, and there are no new waves, only the ocean, and which talks about collaboration. And so, yeah, it's partially that kind of our like punk rock approach to things, being like on the outside and wanting to create something collaborative. So, and the Japanese heritage thing as well.
All right, very good. So I'll say a little thing about you, my experience, because it's actually thanks to Andrew, I think, and Cindy that introduced me to you, and we started working a little bit and all that, and we
Totally.
for sure, and I trusted, from the get-go. I got, said, yeah, it sounds like a very good person. Andrew did a very good job on discovering you. Talking about a few years ago now. And then I finally met you, and it didn't take very long for me to connect. And I felt you were talking about chemistry, and you were telling me about your philosophy. And you know what? I remember going back and tell Maureen, my partner in the business, but my wife also. And I said, I don't know what we're going to do yet. There was nothing specific. We didn't talk about a business plan. We didn't talk about concrete, specific idea, a goal, how we're going to make money, or how, what's the, what platform, what's going to be the business model and all that. We just were, when I remember meeting you, and we're just two guys just wanting to promote the artivist. And almost which is very important, the economic, the moral aspect was secondary. I felt a connection with you, that we had similar, aspiration. And then, you know what? Let's do it. We'll figure it out a way that's sustainable, or somewhat, at least, if not profitable, at least sustainable. And it's working. Another thing you told me also, that I liked very much, I was intrigued, especially you coming from, business school, coming from the commercial photographic world, and all that seems, and when you come, you are a very organized person, very, very neat and all that. And when we were talking about, when I remember asking you about your goal, what do you want to get out of it, or what you were trying to how we're going to get there. And you had, and I don't know if you can describe that a little bit, because then I want to talk about the artist. And I forgot how you said it, but there was something fascinating about, I don't know, the world. And that, imagine, you told me that, imagine everything happened since you told me that. You said, you know, I don't have a business model. I believe in fluidity. That might not be the word you used, but I believe in spontaneity, and I will adapt. Every year, I would change if I need to. I need to observe, to see, and just fulfill the need. There was this. Can you remember when you told me that? You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Can you?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, say it again. What was
No,
that?
no, no. Can you talk about that? Because I think it's very
Sure.
inspiring for many people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with just understanding why you're doing the thing in the first place. So if you have a deep understanding as to your intention for doing something, then anything else is essentially just a medium for you to do the thing that you want to do, whatever that is. So that's what I mean in terms of, because before people would ask me like, oh, what's your goal, and this and that, and I think there's macro goals, there's specific goals and those sort of things, but I think the most important thing is being able to move, be fluid, be adaptable, and those sort of things. And I think sometimes people get caught in the past idea of what they thought would make them happy or thought would give them success, whatever way you want, or whatever barometer or whatever you want to use for success. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think but there are, like, business plans in mind and those sort of things. But I think that you have to stay adaptable, especially when there's during a time such as like a pandemic crisis and
Of
those sort of
course.
things, right?
Of course, that's what I was going to
So
say. Just for everybody to know, those conversations we had a couple of years ago. So imagine today, this kind of philosophy should serve you well, because now it's a good time to be fluid, to rethink yourself, how you're going to get there. You can still have the same philosophy. Like for me, would be to promote the arts. We think art is good for you, art is good for the world, my whole repeat things. But how we're going to do that, the way I used to do it last year is different than this year. Look, I'm here, I'm doing live, because of the pandemic. It never crossed my mind. So that's why I like that philosophy and I adhere to it. And thank you. But like you said, it doesn't take away the fact that we are, and you in particular, professional, and we do make business plan, but it's not the vision and the philosophy prevail from the business model. So that's,
yeah,
I just wanted you to say it, because it already
yeah.
stuck to my head. And
Well, I think also, just to kind of go off of that, the adaptation aspects, I feel that there's a lot of times when people have these goals in mind, like a specific goal. Let's say you're an artist and you want, you're working towards your solo show. And then let's say that this is right before the pandemic is going to hit. And not saying that I don't have empathy for people that if this, occurred to, that's a really detrimental thing that could happen if you're working towards your first solo show and things don't really work out, But I think at the end of the day, these things that we do, it's a part of us. It's not all of us. It's only a portion of who we are as a being, It's not everything. So you have to stay adaptable in the mindset that you will figure it out. You will figure out how to surpass something that is horrible. And pain and suffering is just a part of life. So let's accept that. Let's accept that the people that you know will die, you will die. So how do you live life as fluidly as possible, being able to accept the things that are being thrown at you, and just to, and try to alleviate some of that, I guess.
yeah, no, very good. In fact, I have an example, I have many examples, but just because I heard her name, so I'm gonna mention. I hope she's not going to. She'll be okay with what I'm going to say, but
Yeah.
I remember, you know, I think she's here. Vered Pasternak, a friend of ours, and we work together occasionally also. And she's a painter in Miami, and she was she is very interested and was, how do you say, not attracted, it's not the right term, but puzzled or whatever with the homeless situation in Miami. And she went to the shelter and she created that old relationship and started to paint. And she was preparing, and she worked all the spring for a full year. She worked on the solo show where she was going to show all her paintings, dozens of paintings, big size of homeless in Miami. And the show was going to be, I think, early April. Her whole dream got shut down. And I remember talking to her, and it was super depressive. And I said, no, you did it. You did it, you have it. And this is, you did your journey. You're doing it, put it online. In fact, she did a gallery, a virtual gallery. But this is still very important. And I know someday it will come back. So, but a thing like that, it could destroy you. You know, you worked on a solo show for 2 years or a year, and then 2 weeks before, boom, shelter in place, no more, boom. But you shouldn't, you shouldn't be destroyed by that. You have to go back on your feet, and whatever you did there, and now you need to adapt to the new world, and perhaps you'll get bigger. Maybe a virtual show through all that could be bigger than the gallery show she was playing. That's just an example. The subject is not there. But,
well, no, I agree, and something to add on to that, you know, I also don't, you know, I think that this needs to be said as well, that everyone needs their grieving process as well. And I think it's okay to, you know, go through this situation, and everyone is going through a similar situation, but also at varying levels. So to be able to have that process where you can grieve with it but move, you know, eventually be able to move past it, I think is healthy. So I think it's good to also acknowledge that this horrible thing happened and be able to intake it and say, okay, well, how can I move on with this in the healthiest way, you know? So.
Yep. Okay. So talking about it, because I think, I felt, you know, today we don't have a demo, we don't have funny people. It's very serious, fun, serious conversation. So, okay. But I love it. I just want to make sure it's like interesting
sure.
for the group.
Sure.
Just wanted to touch base on a few artists, because one I think was you know, we have a few friends in common. Some we met through you, some you met through us or whatever. But I just want to mention a couple that because we like people to look and check what, you know, your different classes and all that. But you work with some fantastic artists. One of them, we become very good friends, and is a friend of Andrew as well, is John Wentz. I don't know if he's still there. It's very late. It's past midnight for him, or close to midnight.
Hey, John.
Is he still there? No?
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
John is a fantastic. He's here from Northern California, but he worked with Yoshino down in LA, and now lives in Paris. So I went to see him in Paris. We actually did a funny little video at the Sennelier store, and he seems to... And he's so lively, and he's great. So John Wentz is someone to follow. And another person is Kate Zambrano. Funny because we knew her awesome. With Andrew, and I met her at a was it at the birthday party, right? There was a birthday party with Natalia, and it was so amazing. It was one of those mystery thing. It was fantastic, but her work is great, and I know she loves our pastel. That's how we connected, but much more. And Kate is great. I know that you work now with Mia Bergeron, with that French name, but I'm not sure she's French, from the Midwest, I think. And you even giving her the class, the workshop. So thank you so much for your giveaway. And then
Shout out to Mia. Yep.
Joseph Lee, Danielle, Bill Ness. I mean, there's a lot of great people. Do you want to say a couple of things on any of those, a few people, just to, like about John or Kate, let's say?
Well, let's say hi to Justin. He just jumped on a few minutes ago.
Justin!
Hey, Justin. How's it going? I want to say something, but yeah. How's it going, man? Yeah. So what do you want me to say about the artist? I mean, like,
I'm
specific?
not gonna tell you what to say. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Like, no, I mean, but like, how did we get in contact with them, or how did
But what do your artists have in common? For the three that I know personally well, Kate, John,
I see. Okay, I see.
Yeah. Why them?
Why them? I feel like I mean, first of all, Justin and I, we curate there definitely has to be that level of talent, right? So that's like the kind of like the first sort of prerequisite.
Okay.
But, Justin and I really want to only work with people that we connect with. Like why else do this? And if you don't have a good rapport with the people that you work with. And I think that so it's dual part about curation and also just people that we can consider friends, that we trust, that we like to work with, that it doesn't feel like work, it just feels like kind of hanging out more or less. And not saying that there isn't serious work that gets done, but it's like, why not have the best of all worlds? Why not create? There's something that I think it might have been David Fincher, the director, and he was talking about, or it was one of the big directors, and he was saying that his film sets, it's like everyone's friends, and at that top level, everyone's friends, everyone's collaborating with each other, and yes, they're serious projects, but I feel that Justin and I are trying to create a similar experience, but our own.
All right. I love, and you may even enjoy the journey while you work, right?
Always.
So
you have to.
Yes. Oh, I just wanted to say, on the different time we saw each other, I remember also one time I was invited at the David Casson opening at the museum at USC. And you were there. It was a nice party, and you met also my son Louis Pierre, and you guys hit it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good time. I remember we talked about David maybe doing something with you, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
And Justin, so we like to see more of your work. So I've seen you show me a couple of pieces from Justin, I think, last time I was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very intriguing work. I love it because it's profound. I like Justin's work. So anyway, we have a 10.
Me too.
Andrew, is there any question, any comments, anything? People, I invite you to ask questions, to comment, and all that.
Cindy asked earlier a really good question for Yoshino. Let me see if I can track it down.
I saw that.
No. How would you answer that? I think the question pertained to whether you are able to make enough time to do your own personal work, photography, and running these businesses with Justin successfully.
I mean, I feel like I'm always doing the work. I'm always observing. I think that the more that what I've understood is the more in tune that you are with your own creative mindset and creative practice, is that you're always doing the work, whether you're cooking or whether you're walking down the street and looking at things. And I'm always taking photos of just like random things that I find on the ground, and that's its own like little artistic practice. But I think that is part of the journey, is always doing the work, whether it's intaking or actually creating the work, and being okay with not feeling not feeling that you have to output, output, output. Sometimes there could be a year where you don't do anything. But when you don't do anything, you're actually observing, making those observations, writing it down, and doing your own mental work. So I think that, we become into this sort of like productivity bubble where, especially in like large cities where people feel like they always have to be busy, 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 busy. But why? Why are you busy? Why are you doing the thing that you do? What importance does that play into? Who cares if you're answering 100 emails a day? Does that really help? Does that help you into like be a better person? Does it help you with your creative mindset? I don't know. I don't think so.
I tell you what, based on that, it was interesting, and I think we will need to wrap it up soon. So if anyone has a question, yes.
Well, and let's ask Cindy before you say what you're going to say.
We have
to help us select a winner for the drawing for.
Yes.
Justin. I'm getting back to Justin.
It is the No Wave class by Mia Bergeron from No Wave Academy.
All right. Yeah, that's a very, very nice gift. Thank you again for the giveaway.
Of course.
Second, you gave one the other day.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
Alexandra Motto Design is the winner. So Alexandra, if you were there, go ahead and send us a DM with your info.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought, but it's okay. I'll come back. What would you say to inspire? We have 5 minutes left. What you sort of said it already in different form, but I would like to leave that live with inspiration for the artists or not artists yet who are watching us. Give them what can we tell them to move forward, to go to what's the, give them some inspiration. What did they do? Wow. I put you on.
Be honest. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Lean in. Lean in. Yeah. I mean, I think like we have to be as honest with ourselves as possible in anything in life. That goes to your art practice, that goes to the decisions that you make on a daily basis. Are these decisions truly what you want out of this life, out of this time, this precious time that you have on this planet? Or are they decisions that are secondhand, that have been embedded in you, that aren't actually your own decisions?
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be filtered through the media and things that you listen to or whatever, but be honest with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I believe most of our friends, we hope everybody here are honest people, but you said honest to yourself, because sometimes you can be the most honest person, but not always honest to yourself. So that's a good idea. Thank you. Oh, I remember what I was going to say about the purpose, about the fast lane and all that. I'm known to have traveled. I used to travel 2/3 of the time. I traveled all over the world, giving lectures, doing sales, doing pep talk, doing training, education, business everywhere. And the pandemic happened, and then I haven't traveled in 6 months now. Most of my people, my close friend, including my kids, they were very worried that I would have withdrawal. I would have weak. I would be antsy. And in fact, no, it happened. No travel. I've discovered so many things here. My garden, my friends, the community, even within my own business, part of my business, I didn't know because I was always on the road. So that was just, maybe it's a bad example, but just you go with the flow. Don't get hung up with, you can hang out, but don't hang up on, what happened. Don't be a victim. Don't be, just be true for yourself, be honest to yourself, and just do what's good for you. And the better you are for yourself, the better you'll be for the others.
Hmm.
So that's my philosophy also. So it sounds like we have very similar philosophy. Mr. Cook, what's the time factor, Dr. Spock? No, we still have a couple of minutes? No, just 1 minute. So last word, I'm gonna I'm gonna do my go paint. Last word, Yoshino, Justin,
Okay.
Eva, thank you so much. And they should all
Thanks
go
for having me.
to check you out. What's the best way to check out your great company? Is there one they should go on the website, on where, on social?
Well, since we're on Instagram, at Artist Decoded, at No Wave, NOH Wave, and my personal one is at Yoshino Studios.
Okay, so on that note, I hope that was inspiring. You know, we didn't do much of painting demonstration, but I think this was a very, very profound session. Yoshino, thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with you. And together, we're going to change the world in a more artistic, honest, and fun place. So on that note, go pay! Woo!
Cool, man. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, of course. See you soon.